नारायणं पद्मभवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं त्रोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यात् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We have reached the last mantra in our study of the Mandukya Upanishad, and in this last mantra, the 12th mantra, over here the Rishi is summarizing the Turiyam. The 7th mantra talked about the Turiya, Nanta Prajna, na bahish prajna, no bhayata prajna, etc. The precise definition of consciousness was revealed. Then the individual states of existence of the jiva were talked about. The 8, 9, 10, 11. In here, the Jagrata, Swapna, the Shushupti Avastha, the waking, the dream, the deep sleep state, each individually were taken, and each one of them were juxtaposed next to the Omkar, A-U-Ma. The matras of the Omkar should be a reminder of the very existence of the jiva. And this culminates in the 12th mantra, which is just pure, still silence. Our understanding of silence is absence of noise. That understanding of silence is very wrong. Absence of noise is not silence. True silence is the stillness which is known as pure presence, awareness, consciousness. And in this absolute stillness, when the whole mind, the antakarana, becomes still, it is in that stillness infinity is as though seen. Still infinitude is what is experienced. For this Turiyam to be known and to be lived, one has to still the senses, still the mind, still the movement and actually arrive at stillness without our attempt in coming to this still silence, we will not be able to recognize the awareness which pervades even the stillness. This is the 12th mantra of this Upanishad. This is a Nididhyasan mantra. The last mantras are all Nididhyasan, but this is the culmination of the absolute practice of abidance in knowledge as stillness. Tadjnanam prashamakaram yadindriyanam. The Dhanyashtakam starts from this statement. Tadjnanam, that is knowledge which prashamakaram yadindriyanam, all senses will become silent. We are too agitated, we are too distracted, we are too disturbed, and the distractions of the manifested world which is moving, which is crawling in time and space, the movement of the world is what affects us. But this mantra comes and says the world is going to move, but you have to stop. And it is a physical stopping, it is a mental stopping out of recognition. Physically we cannot stop, but yet we have to stop physically. And this is a dilemma. Movement will go on, but it will be an observed movement, a controlled movement, a systematic movement. And in this way, this Nididhyasan mantra is very powerful. We will read this mantra. Amatraha Chaturthaha Avyavaharyaha Prapanchopashamaha Shivaha Advaitaha Evamonkara Atmaiva Samvishati Atmana Atmanam Ya evam Veda Ya evam Veda. This is the end of the Mandukya Upanishad, the very Shruti portion of it is over, and that is why Ya evam Veda, Ya evam Veda, that was repeated twice, Ya evam Veda. That may one come to know this. And what is this? You come to know amatra, where there are no matras. There is no matra. A, U, Ma are the three matras, and after the utterance of Om, no matras remain, so there is silence. It is still silence, is known as a matra. There is no sound, no matra remaining. Matra because the other ones, a, u, ma, are a sound modification, and the individuality of the sound is perceived, is recognized, is understood, is processed. But over here, it is a matra. There is nothing for processing. So if there is nothing for processing, this is where the Bauddha Mata comes and say, well, there is nothing remaining if nothing is to be processed. And that is why it is not, silence is not absence of sound. Because the absence of sound, if you take it, then it becomes a Bauddha Mata, a Buddhistic approach, which is shunya, nothing. And this is not what the Shruti over here is indicating. Amatra, it is absent. Absent, it is silence. It is silence, it is nothing but stillness. But that stillness is to be known. How is it to be known? It is Chaturthaha, it is the fourth. It is the fourth with respect to the other three. And in this way, the fourth is known as Turiya. And this Turiya, Amatraha, Chaturthaha, Avyavaharya, it cannot be transacted. It cannot be penetrated. It cannot be objectified. And that is what is meant by avyavaharya. If we try to transact with silence, there will be no transaction possible for transaction with silence. Silence has to be owned up. And this is what is meant by avyavaharyam. It is to be recognized, owned, and claimed as I, me, myself. This is avyavaharyam. It is meant as an ownership of the identity which is my real identity when everything silences. And thus it is said avyavaharyam. The transaction is, the absence of transaction is the ownership of my nature. Avyavaharyam. Prapanchopashamam. Complete cessation of all types of pentamorous mutual recombination. The Panchikarana Krut Sthul Jagat and the subtle world of the 5-element created elemental world, which becomes the instrument of knowing the mind itself. The mind has to silence itself. It has to absorb into such deep, 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 still silence. Stop moving. It has to absorb itself into such deep, 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 still silence for it to completely objectify and renounce the 5-element created elemental world. That is prapanchopashamam. It is complete cessation of the elemental world, outside and inside. And it starts from making sure that this physical body, the sthul sharira, is taken to this realm of stillness. And this is avyavaharyam prapanchopashamam. Avyavaharyam allows us to claim the silence, and prapanchopashamam allows us to drop the gross aspect of silence. Gross aspect of silence is emptiness. It is not emptiness. It is full of presence. This is a Nididhyasan mantra which is to be mentally walked through. And this is a matra. When we chant the Omkar, our whole process of chanting should lead us to this stillness. After the chanting, experience the absence of matras. In Sanskritam, each one of the letter is known as a matrika, and there is a goddess Saraswati which presides over each one of them. And when the entire gamut of matrikas are uttered and installed in the sthula sharira as well as in the very subtle body with its subtle presence of the subtle cage of the 7 chakras, in there also she abides. And when all of them are placed in their own place, we are supposed to watch her in those places where matras remain. And the amatra watches the matras. The one who is devoid of all types of matras has to watch the placement of the matras in the gross body and the subtle body, and that process of witnessing is the abidance of Advaita Jnanam. That itself is knowledge. When we claim that I am the observer who, upon observing the subtle matras and placing them in their own respective asan, I remain matraless. And that consciousness, which I claim myself to be, which is avyavaharyam, remains still. And the matras which are placed on their asan, they are allowed to move, for they regulate the subtle movement of the pranas. They regulate the gross movement of the gross pranas. And when the sthula and sukshma are watched from the standpoint of a matra, it is a beautiful sight to be seen. And then each one of these, they will disintegrate into still silence. And thus the word amatra is very important, and that is Shivaha. It is auspicious, beautiful to watch. It is none other than the greatest blessing, which is culmination of the human birth, when the movement of the birth allows us a privilege to witness this. This Shivaha is Advaitaha, the one who is matraless. A matra is non-dual. In the Saguna Brahman Upasana of the Omkar, we will be led to the actual witnessing of the Sthula and the Sukshma. And as a witness, one will witness. But when the blessings culminate, when the matras themselves jump out and the goddess showers her blessings, it becomes Advaita. She enters as the very ambrosia which dispels the ignorance, the blanket of darkness which allows us to see individual matter in time and space. All that just disappears, and still presence, silence, non-dual is known as me, Advaita. In this way, it is Evam Omkaram. This is how Omkaram is terminated. We should not keep on chanting Om, 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 Om. The culmination is when the Omkar itself is suspended. The Omkar itself is owned up as me. So Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti enter in me, and I remain the support of them. Evam Omkaram, Omkaraha Atma Eva Samvishati. It enters. What enters? The waker enters. Waking state, when we say, the waker enters. The dreamer enters. And the ignorant sleeper, they all enter this silence and they disappear into the silence. The waker never ever comes back up alive again to create a havoc in the waking world. This Omkara, this still Omkara, in this Advaita abidance, when it is said Omkara Samvishati, it enters, what is meant is the waker, the dreamer, the sleeper, they enter. And they enter Samvishati Atmana Atmanam, by one's own power, self. How one's own power? Knowledge. Claiming of the Turiya, claiming of the stillness. Even if we claim it for 1 minute, that 1 minute when the waker, the sleeper, the dreamer enter, we claim Turiyam for 1 minute. That 1 minute will be the greatest blessed moment of our life. Because Atmana, it is claimed as knowledge. That is the Atmabal. The Atmabal is recognition that that still silence is me. That Atmana, Atmanam, in the self itself, which I have claimed as consciousness, as the fourth, as the Amatra, in this may one come to abide. Over here, Ya Evam Veda, Ya Evam Veda, this is to be known, this is to be known, this is to be claimed, this is to be claimed. Veda over here is to know. Over here it is not objective knowledge, over here it is the subjective presence. And the subjective presence is claimed in knowledge. It is owned in knowledge. And this is the abidance in still silence. This is where the entire Shruti Devi ends. Nothing remains after this. It is the end of the Vedas. What more can the Veda say? Anything it says, it disturbs the silence. So, the Shruti herself enters the silence. She becomes one with consciousness. And in this way, this Turiyam mantra is for Nididhyasana. Sit listlessly, even for a minute if you can do it. Just claim your still presence for a moment, and that will be the most blessed moment of your life. This is what Gaudapada Acharya ji thought was worth mentioning. Even though Shruti ends, he comes back out of this silence and he sees his students and disciples, and with great compassion he felt that this silence required some clarification, and his clarification in 200 some karikas, which now he takes the liberty every time he dives into silence and comes back out, he was compelled to share a little bit more about entering this silence. These upcoming few karikas are exclusively talking about this Omkar and silence. These are beautiful Nididhyasana mantras. Sit silently when you get a chance, early in the morning, with this book. Read this mantra. Sit quietly and absorb yourself in silence. Make an attempt. Even if it is a minute, it will be your greatest minute. If you can extend that minute daily, if you can extend it for a few minutes, drop all karma and become still. This is the greatest practice that we can do. Now we will see the karika. Omkaram padasho vidyat.
Omkaram padasho vidyat.
Pada matra na samshayah.
Pada matra na samshayah.
Omkaram padasho jnatva.
Omkaram padasho jnatva.
Na kinchidapi chintayet.
Na kinchitapi chintayet.
Over here in this karika it is said, Omkaram padashah vidyat. Know the Omkaram by pada, by parts, by quarters, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter. I'm not going to repeat all the quarters, but you know it as the waker, the dreamer and sleeper. And when it is said know it as a waker, sleeper, dreamer, meaning understand that you are observing the waker, you are observing the dreamer, you are observing the deep sleeper. So you are not claiming the identity as the waker, nor are you claiming the identity as the dreamer, because you are witnessing it. The key word is know, meaning objectify them. And when you objectify them, leave them there. Don't intermingle with the waker, the dreamer, the deep sleeper. Let the dream experiences be an observer. Let the waking experiences be an observer. Whatever arrives, agate swagatam. Whatever prarabdha brings, Bhagavan, great amount of gratitude for allowing it. This is called Omkara Padashah Vidyat. Come to know all these padas in knowledge. Pada matraha na samshayah. And there should be no doubt in this waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, that they are the path. A is the waker, U is the dreamer, Ma is the deep sleeper. There should be no doubt. If one doubt remains, we cannot progress in the meditation of the abidance and the claiming of the Turiyam silence. To the extent we have witnessed the waker and rejected the waker, to that extent we will be able to enter deep Turiyam. Pick up your body like an instrument and leave your body like an instrument. Be a silent observer. This is the Nididhyasana over here. Omkaram padashaha jnatva. And knowing this Omkar padashaha jnatva. Which pada? The Turiyam pada. Huh? No, because in the first quarter, all three were talked about. The second quarter, there should be no doubt in rejecting them. The third quarter of this Karika says, Omkaram, again padashaha jnatva. Over here, now he says, claim it. Claim Turiyam, nakinchidapi chintayet, and do not entertain any other thought. Do not allow any other thought to disturb the inner silence. If you have attained silence, keep your awareness in retaining silence. Do not allow the silence, the inner silence, to fizzle out. That is what is meant by na kinchidapi chintayet. This will require a lot of dexterity. When you get up from meditation, you are so used to such beautiful deep silence, the outside noisy world will be able to disturb this silence. But the sadhana over there is still abide in the knowledge of silence and do not allow the noise of the world to disturb the silence. Once this is acquired, once we acquire the dexterity of living in this world in amatra and yet experiencing matras, it is a beautiful life. It is a divine life which allows us to see things which normal people cannot see. Because we see from the great depths of the substratum of the entire universe. The silence will allow you to pick up in the matra riddled world the uniqueness of matras, and you will see the painted picture, the glory of the painted picture of Brahman as matras. And this will become the preoccupation of the man of wisdom. They will see all beautiful picture, all painted on stillness, which doesn't move, and yet the picture moves. This is a continuously moving column, and yet it is a listless column. This is to be known. 25. Yunjita pranave chetaha.
Yunjita pranave chetaha.
Pranavo brahma nirbhayam.
Pranavo brahma nirbhayam.
Pranave nitya yukta nityayuktasya
pranave nityayuktasya
na bhayam vidyate kvachit.
na bhayam vidyate kvachit.
Over here, all of a sudden now, Gaudapada Acharya ji takes the liberty to change the name of Omkar to Pranava. And this Pranava is a beautiful name of Brahman. And over here, Yunjita Pranave Chetaha. Chetaha, mind. Yunjita, lead it, unite with, fix upon it, dissolve in it, whatever you want to take, because this is Nididhyasan. So depending upon the state of the mind, Yunjita applies. The days we are agitated, it will be little bit difficult to unite. The days when the mind is effortlessly silent, it will turn into absorption. Yunjit will become absorption. The days where there is little bit of agitation, with effort, we'll have to lead the mind and bring it to this listless, still, silent Brahman. So Yunjita Pranave Chetaha. This Pranava is a very beautiful word which also means absence of objects, absence of modification, absence of movement. All this can be taken as Pranava. So Yunjita Pranave, it is one formless form. That is also Pranava. The formless itself becomes the form of Brahman. So Yunjita Pranave Chetaha Pranavaha Brahma Nirbhayam. And this Pranava itself is Brahman. This silence itself is Brahman. It is Nirbhayam. It is absolute state where there is complete cessation of fear. Fear can only be of the other, duality. Someone else, if they take something away from me, or if they injure me, then that person becomes the source of my fear. But if second itself is not there, then who are we going to fear? So, people have great fear when they enter meditation, that something will happen. Something will disturb me and I will not be able to come out. I will lose my life. This, all sorts of ideas are there regarding deep meditation. In fact, people are even afraid of silence. Those people accustomed to the noise of a city, difficult to appreciate silence and be in silence. So, over here it is said, Pranava Brahma Nirbhayam. See, all this identity of Brahman is further revealed and clarified for our Nididhyasan, because Turiyam is still silence. This still silence is consciousness, it is not dead. The still silence is Pranavaha, absence of all forms. Formlessness itself is the form. Then it is Brahma. It is the big, all-pervading reality. It is Nirbhayam. So, emotions and feelings can still be there, because only from the standpoint of the mind, fear can be experienced. But absence of fear is also experienced. That means mind has not disappeared. Mind has come back to claim the silence. Mind has come back to claim fearlessness status. Mind has come back to claim and own Brahma, meaning I am all pervading. So these are the things we should not miss out in Nididhyasan. Nirbhayam. Nirbhayam Brahma. It has to be claimed Nirbhaya. Then Pranave Nitya Yuktasya Nabhayam Vidyate Kvachita. So now the one who continuously unites themselves in this with this Brahman, unite themselves with themselves, their identity is this Brahman. For such a person, na bhayam vidyate kvachit, there is absolutely no fear. There is no fear of anything. When somebody says, oh, he is a God-fearing person. Arey, what God-fearing person? You are God yourself. How can you fear God? If you are God, there is no fear. How can we fear from our own selves? So, we are never a God-fearing religion. This is a God-loving religion. It claims God to be ourselves. If we borrow this false vocabulary from people around us, it makes us difficult to claim our identity. Never say God-fearing. I am the lover of God. I am the owner of God. Meaning, I am God. Advaita is established over here. Absolute non-dual. I am, I am, I am, I am. Continuing. Pranavo hyaparam brahma.
Pranavo hyaparam Brahma.
Pranavascha parasmrutaha.
Pranavascha parasmritaha.
Apurvo nantaro bahyaha.
Apurvo nantaro bahyaya.
Napara pranavo vyayaha.
Napara pranavo vyayaha.
Pranavaha hi aparam brahma. Pranava is this apara Brahma. What is this apara Brahma? The lower Brahman. What is this lower Brahman? Is none other than the Vyakta Prapancha, the Avyakta Prapancha. All this world of matter around us, all the world of the subtle emotions and thoughts and feelings, all this is lower Brahman. All we saw in Mandukya Upanishad, the four Vedas, Shiksha, Kalpa, Nirukta, Chandas, Jyoti, Riti, all this is Aparavidya. Paravidya etad aksharam adigamyate in Mandukya Upanishad. That alone is Paravidya, with which the Akshara Brahman is known, meaning identity revealing statement, and the words Amatra, that is also Apara. But when I claim Apara to be me, that is called Paravidya. Anything other than Brahman is Apara. And all Apara can help us is for abidance in Saguna Dhyanam. So, lower Brahman allows us to abide in Saguna Brahman Dhyanam, or Saguna Brahma meaning Ishvara. So, Ishvara Dhyanam we can do. Saguna Upasana it can allow us to abide in. So, over here this Karika comes and says that Brahman itself is the Saguna Brahman. The different God that you are meditating upon, that Brahman itself is Apara. So Pranava itself is that Apara. We create differences between Shiva, Devi and Krishna and Rama and different gods. But each one of these gods are nothing but Pranavaha, appearing in that name form only to guide us and take us towards formless. And Pranavascha Parasmritaha, it is also known as the higher. Higher cannot be known, higher has to be claimed. Claimed as me, owned as me. It is Purna Jnana, that Aham Brahmasmi. That's it. I am this Brahman. And what is this Brahman? Apurvaha. It is unique. Purva is before. Apurva, nothing like this before. Before what? Before realization. Before realization, what was the experience? Duality. In duality, it is all different names and forms, different types of objects, different types of situations, different things. None of those will indicate Brahman. That is Apurva. And at the same time, it is Apurva, the most unique, because you've never experienced anything like this. That is the Apurvata of Brahman. Not like what you have experienced before, and after you experience, this experience is not like anything that you have gone through. And again I use the word experience and all those things, but remember, Brahman cannot be experienced. It is not a verb, it's a noun to be owned. So only John can have a John experience. So we say that Ram experience. Only Ram can experience Ramhood. So in this, when it is said that Apurva, this unique experience, unique claiming of the identity, it is unique Brahman. And this unique Brahman is Anantaraha. Anantaraha, Antaraha. It is without, inside. Then Abahyaha, it is without, outside. It is Anaparaha, it is without any cause, it is without any effect. No cause has created it, so it cannot be any effect. So all these unique names over here are only for us to remain in this still silence without objectifying silence. When we talk about still silence, and it says over here, anantaraha, it is without inside. And I even say during my guided meditation, lead your mind to your third eye, go enter the eye, arrive in a place of still silence. So someone may think it is inside the third eye you can experience the silence. No. That is a locus where we can start our transaction of sadhana. We can start our transaction of nididhyasan in that locus. It is a jnana chakshu which allows us to claim silence. Where is this silence? In the cave of the intellect? No. Is it outside? No. Where is it? It is me. So that is why it is said it is not inside, it is not outside. But yet it is inside me and yet it is outside me. When I come to abide in it, I realize that silence is on the inside, silence is on the outside. That fish which swims in the ocean, inside the body of the fish is the water. It is drinking water continuously. And it is swimming in the water. So the water is on the outside, water is on the inside. And yet it is a fish. Unique is this man of wisdom. Inside it is silence, outside it is silence. Yet the silence is not inside and silence is not outside because it is claimed as me. I am that silence. And thus it is said, apurvaha, anantaraha, abahyaha, anapparaha. Anapparaha, it is beyond any effect, any object. It is in fact not an effect because it was never the cause. It never created anything. If it created something, then it can be the cause. But I realize that the whole waking, dream, deep sleep becomes a projection. And if it is all a projection, that means there was error in understanding it. And when that error is removed, I see only the presence. Then that presence was never the cause of the snake which never existed. So, anaparaha. This pranavaha avyayaha. This is this omkar. And it is undecaying. It ever is. It ever is. It ever is. There are still some more Nididhyasan Karikas. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.